Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Girls Who Recover podcast. This week's episode it's going to be fire. I'm so excited. I tried not to overthink it, but interestingly enough, totally did. And the title of the episode at this point, maybe it'll change in production, but it's Progress, Perfection, and the Patriarchy. So I'm just going to say that again: progress, perfection, and the patriarchy. And I really stepped back into this woman that I have been forever, of course, but along the way have really sort of shut part of her down, and that, subscribing to the narrative of like, don't be too loud, don't be too angry, don't be too like, sit in the box, sit still, play small. And you know what? In my community, I say my favorite hashtag, and so I'll just share with you, is we're going to be done with that. So we're going to be done with that. And what I mean by that is I'm coming out and I'm going to use words like patriarchy and challenging the structures that have been embedded in the fabric of our society that do so much damage to women specifically. And so today's episode is all about progress, perfection, and the patriarchy. And this title, as in all of my best work, came up in meditation and then also was codified on a run, where I get my best ideas on a run or in meditation. Why do I get my best ideas there? Because I'm not in my mind during those times. And so whatever it is that's directing the universe and finds its way into my heart via divine downloads speaks there if I'm willing to listen and show up. Okay, so what are you talking about, Dana? Progress, perfection, and the patriarchy. This came up for me because I work with a lot of women. I have always had the gift of working with a lot of women. And what I've found is this idea of perfectionism gets in the way, and it gets in the way of everything. So my work now is to empower women to create their biggest, wildest dreams. The ones they had when you were 4, when you were 7, when you were 9. And I love to use those ages because my daughters are 4, 7, and 9, Alyssa, Audrey, and Ava. And they have no problem dreaming, the 4-year-old especially. Huge dreams. She's like, we're going to Mars, we're riding a unicorn, we're going to wear a glitter tiara and a tutu, and we're going to sing the Trolls soundtrack on the way there in the spaceship. My 7-year-old is like, I'm going to be president of the world. I'm also wearing a tiara, but a power suit at the same time. And we're going to go to France and we're going to live there one day. And we're going to, all these ideas. Now, the 9-year-old, the thing that kicks in, you know what I'm talking about, right? Maybe we call it ego. Maybe we call it insecurity. I don't know what we're calling it, but it's kicking in for her. Specifically, she's concerned with doing things the right way. And so her capacity to dream is being diminished by whatever narrative she's subscribing to, that it has to be the correct way. It's got to be accurate. And, having kids, man, it is wild because you see, at least me, I see so much of myself in my daughters. And a lot of it, I'm like, oh no, stop that. Stop that perfectionism and that need to do things correctly and the need to follow the rules. And my favorite thing to teach my kids is my favorite thing that my mom taught me is like, yeah, rules are just suggestions, right? Like they're just suggestions. Sorry for my type A people. I know that your stomach is probably hurting right now because rules are just suggestions. Thank you, Mom, for teaching me that. And so I get to teach it to my daughters because guess who made the rules in the first place? The patriarchy. Okay, so I wanted to start by sharing, okay, Dana, what do you mean by the patriarchy? Well, I mean, I went to my best friend ChatGPT to confirm the quick and simple definition of the patriarchy. And here it is. So it's a system that we live in where men hold primary power, as evidenced by the most recent election. I'm recording on Inauguration Day, which I'm not watching. I'm unsubscribing. Just to out myself, I unsubscribed back in 2016. I was like, oh no, we're going to be done with that. I think I'm getting the year right. I don't know. It was the day that I stopped watching the news, and I've never been more joyful as a result of that. So, yeah, so today's Inauguration Day when I'm recording. And oh, yeah, I'm planning to drop this week. So we're in real time. So it's a system where men, and let's be honest, like, not the smartest men, not the most compassionate men, not the men who are emotionally available or wise. Like these men who hold power, my stomach is starting to hurt now. Okay, so but let's stay with the definition. I'm not getting on the box too early. But the patriarchy is a system in society where men hold most of the power and they dominate in leadership. Okay, so I was making a joke, which actually turned out to be a little bit more serious when it came out of my mouth, with a mom friend at our daughter's school. And she said, well, what do you think about all the things that are going on? And there's a lot going on at the school. And I said to her, I love when I decide to focus on the things that matter to us, the reason why we chose the school, I'm super happy. We have incredible teachers. My girls are experiencing like the most rigorous, gorgeous French immersion program ever that exists, in my opinion. And they feel like they're a part of something really special community. They're part of a community that's diverse. You go into the classroom and you just see a gorgeous variety of humans. Looks like a beautiful rainbow, which is super unique in New Orleans and in my experience in other urban environments. And they feel loved and safe and loved and cared for. Now, all the other stuff and what she's talking about, right? We have this language among moms that is like, well, what do you think about this? All the nonsense that's going around. And I was like, we aren't experiencing things that aren't also happening in other organizations. It's just another man at the top, the name of the man changes at the top. And when I said that out loud, I was like, oh, we got to do better. We got to do better about who's at the top, who's at the top of the country, who's at the top of the school, who's at the top of the school system, who's at the top of the corporate organization that I just quit. Like, it's a man, it's a man, it's a man, it's a man. And like, frankly, it's maybe not the best choice of men. Like, don't get me wrong. I love men. I always have. My dad was my person. I have incredible uncles and male cousins and a husband to die for. I mean, he's a 10. He's a 15. He's amazing. But what the patriarchy isn't talking about individual men. It's talking about a system that puts men in power to dominate in roles of leadership. And so it trickles down. They have more moral, they are put in positions of moral authority. Who's in charge of your church? Who's in charge of your spiritual organization? And they also have political leadership. Just look at your Congress. Just look at your local leadership. We have a gift in New Orleans in that we have our parish president is a woman where I live, and also the mayor of New Orleans is a woman, a Black woman. Two women of color who are leading side by side these parishes in the government in Louisiana, which, I don't know, dear listener, how much you know about Louisiana, but we have lots of room to grow. Everybody does, and especially Louisiana. So we are putting women in leadership, and guess what happens to the women? They get bashed on, right? So we're experiencing sexism and racism all in one. Now, are these people perfect? Absolutely not. But are you? No, I'm already off the script. Okay, I write these guidelines and then totally abandon them. And I had breakfast with a gorgeous woman that I met at a networking event, which, by the way, networking events, they're amazing if we're going to learn about people and be curious. And especially my hopes and dreams are just to meet incredible women all over the world. So I met this woman at a networking event for my school alumni. And I sat down with her and I was like, well, what would you love for your life? Like, if you have no challenges, no obstacles, money wasn't an like option, what would you be? And she was like, I would be in politics. And this woman is incredible inside and out. And I said, well, why aren't you in politics? What's in the way? And she said, basically, in the nutshell, she would feel overwhelmed by the amount of social resistance. What does that look like? Well, with current women holding office, it looks like name calling, it looks like undermining, it looks like just at a regular restaurant, you'll hear people just like bashing these women. And it's not really about the women themselves. It's about this idea that we have about women that doesn't come from your weird uncle who makes snide comments. It comes from the social fabric of the country. That's a big thing, a topic to address on a podcast, right? Well, and this system reinforces itself. It's like, this is what women should be and do, and this is what men should be and do, and this is what it is. And we're going to enforce it. We're going to put marriage laws. And I think there was a law just passed about kids and sports, and just these rigid reinforcements of what the patriarchy deems as right and correct. And we also, through the patriarchy, elevate masculine traits and men in general, and what men do and contribute, while we totally undervalue, we totally restrict any value associated with femininity or with women, the contributions that women make. Okay. So basically, we're living in a society that elevates men and de-elevates, de-escalates. Help me with the word, my vocab friends, women. And so what does the patriarchy have to do with perfectionism? I'm just going to take a breath here. I'm going to ask you to think about it in your car, on your run, wherever you are. What do you think the patriarchy has to do with this dis-ease, with this pandemic of perfectionism on women specifically? Well, I want to give you an example that's, it's maybe the one that's as old as time, but one of my earlier jobs after I stepped out of the K-12 sector was as a career coach for a college. And so what I learned in my research and in my practice there is that, and again, this is not talking about a specific individual. This is about the fabric, the framework of the society that we live in. Okay. All the male students, they were like, how much money do I want to make? And what is the job? And they would take a look at the salary band, and they would take a look at the title, and they would glance over the requirements for the job to apply. And they'd be like, yeah, I'm applying to that and that and that and that and that. And, I'm watching them apply for jobs that they're so underqualified for, but they're doing it anyway. Okay. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I would meet with my female students, and they would, first of all, not apply for many jobs at all. And second of all, they would believe that they couldn't apply for a job if they didn't meet 100% of the qualifications, 100%. And the men didn't even really look at the qualifications. They're like, what is the title? Director? What's the salary band? 100K, I'm going for it. Where the women would apply for entry-level jobs with hourly wages, and they wouldn't even apply unless they felt like they met all of the standards, which made that window of what they were even willing to go for super small. I found that in my own experience applying for colleges. Was that your experience? You're like, I could never get into that school, therefore I will never apply. Yeah, deep breath on that, because that definitely was my experience. We're talking about 16, 17. And because I don't meet every single criteria, my SAT score isn't exactly what the band is. But this is where it comes back to like, hey, thanks, Mom, for this reminder that rules are suggestions. And we're going to be done with that, with the patriarchy. Okay, so that's the example, right? The job example. You can Google that. There's plenty of research out there that suggests this is happening all over the place for jobs, for schools, for opportunities, for leadership positions, for whatever. where we basically out the womb said to my friend just had a baby today, hooray, a boy, hooray, boys. But I promise you, the first thing that boys hear out the womb is you're powerful, they don't have to talk, they don't have to discuss worthiness. It's just about you're strong and you're powerful and you're so handsome and look how strong he is, right? So this narrative of men are strong and powerful the moment they arrive. And when girls come out the womb, they're like, oh, how cute. Oh, how lovely. Oh, how beautiful she is. How sweet she is, right? So the moment we arrive, we're given these different adjectives for what we are, even though we've literally just taken our first breath. And I apologize for not being able to quote this exact study, but there's some evidence, this research that in some countries, if a boy is born, there's a huge celebration when the boy is born. And when a girl is born, the first thing she ever hears her mother say out loud to her father is, I'm sorry. Sorry, it wasn't a boy, it's a girl. Right? Does that make your stomach hurt? Because it does mine. That's the patriarchy. That's where we elevate men, masculinity, aggression, hustle, work really hard, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, be really strong. I can't tell you how many times just in the last couple of weeks I've heard a woman say, oh, I have to be really strong in this instance. And I want to throw the flag up and say, no, you don't have to be strong. That's the patriarchy, and we are going to be done with that. So let's come back. Progress, perfection, and the patriarchy. Okay, so I'm just going to call out that I think perfection is the #1 blocker to women achieving their dreams. And that's my work in the world, to help you achieve your wildest dream. The one that called to you when you were 4, the one that called to you when you were 7, the one that called to you when you were 9, and you started suffocating because you were raised in the patriarchy and you were told to believe something that actually isn't true, which is go for what's possible. Apply to the schools where you meet the criteria. Only go for the jobs where you meet the expectations. Stay small. Stay in your box. Be quiet. Don't be angry. Don't be dissonant. Don't be resistant. Stay small. And so the smaller version of you, this is why I'm loving this inner child work, because my inner child is like, bitch, you better stand up. My inner child has started to use language like, remember who you are and what we came to do, because kids know the assignment. Kids know the agreement that we made with the creator before we even got here. Kids have no problem telling you about their biggest, most beautiful dream. And as we grow up, the patriarchy via the people, the humans, the adults that we love most smashes those dreams and tells us, well, you're not good. You're not good enough at math to be able to take AP calculus. That was one of the first things of consciousness where I remember being like, is that true? Because up until this moment, I have loved math. I loved math. I had this incredible set of teachers who just made me love math, and I practiced and I felt very confident. And then one day, a woman, right? Because this isn't about an individual man or an individual woman, it's about a social fabric where a grown, wise woman can look at a young girl and say, you're not good enough. You shouldn't enroll in AP calculus. And do you know what I did? I didn't. I listened to her and I didn't. I didn't sign up for AP calculus. And then from that moment on, the narrative that was in my head was, you're not good at math. You're not good at math. because a grown woman who is in charge of creating and impressing on these gorgeous minds said, "You're not good enough." And I wasn't awake at the time enough to say, "I am good enough. I am good enough. I'm going to AP calculus." Because you know how many, I don't know, I mean, this was in the late 90s, but let's say there were 18 people in AP calculus, and 16 of them were boys. 16 of them were boys. Okay, so then I took that with me. I didn't even know this was coming. I took that with me to Vanderbilt University that I got into. And I said, enroll me in the remedial classes because I'm not good at math. And once I satiated my math requirements at the remedial level, I stopped taking math because I believed that I wasn't good at it. That's the patriarchy. And I couldn't be perfect at it. So I quit. That happened to me with a few things. That piano teacher was like, "You're a woman. Like, you're not really good at playing the piano." I remember this 80-year-old woman was like, "No, you're not very good at this." And so I was like, "Okay, I'm not very good at this, so I'm not going to do it." I quit. Same thing with soccer. Like, I don't know no one, I figured it out for myself. I wasn't very good at it. So instead of subscribing to the idea that I can do whatever I want as long as I'm willing to practice, and I'm so glad I get to share this with my girls. As long as I practice and stay committed, I can do whatever I want. I could be a star mathematician. I could be a star soccer player. I could be a star piano player. We were at the museum, the kids museum yesterday, and I sat down to play the piano with my daughter. They have it set out so it's super easy and everything's labeled. And they said, "Mom, can you play the Fur Elise?" And I was like, "Oh, I used to be able to, and I can't now." And I just felt this in my stomach. Yeah, I was like, because I quit, because I thought I wasn't good enough, because it wasn't perfect. And not only was it not perfect, I had mentorship who confirmed that, like, I'm actually not very good at this. So maybe I should try another dream. Okay, so I want to circle back and I want to say, like, along the way, I woke up, I figured this out. Like, thank you, Vanderbilt, for offering a women's studies curriculum and major, because I woke up in the middle of that, learned about the patriarchy, learned about messaging, learned about where did my beliefs come from? Are those true? No, they're not. Let's resist, let's recreate. And so in 2010, 2009, somewhere years later, I walked into a fifth and a sixth grade math class and I was like, "Oh, you're not good at math? Me either. Let's learn math together." Because I was able to share my experience, which I think is our superpower, our experience with my kiddos, especially the girls who walked in a fifth grade and already believed that they weren't good at math. Who told you that? The patriarchy, right? Doesn't matter. Could have been grandma, could have been the geometry teacher, it doesn't matter. The messaging is the same. We're all subscribing to the same social fabric if we aren't awake. So let's wake up. And that's what I said to my fifth and sixth graders. I said, listen, that's a belief. You're in charge of your beliefs. We're setting that aside. And today I want you to start saying, the more I practice, the better I get. The more I practice, the better I get. And you become a superstar mathematician. And I literally saw girls change their minds about who they were and what was possible for them because they had a woman who was awake at the front of the class in mentorship and who wasn't going to allow them to subscribe to beliefs that elevate boys in the math classroom and substitute wherever, boys in church, boys in politics, boys in engineering. Oh my gosh, I met the most incredible engineer who was also a woman. She's coming back. I want to, because I'm going to speak to her too. She's like the perfect example of this. We're elevating. Okay, so we're going to be done with that. Hashtag, we're going to be done with that. And I've said that to my girls. We're done with that. I never want to hear you say that again. Never say that again, because our words have power. And when we say we're not good at something, our subconscious mind believes it to be true and then makes it happen in the 3D. So we're going to be done with that. And instead, we can say something like, when I practice, I get better. When I practice, I get better. When I practice, I get better. And I can do whatever I damn well choose. Hear me when I say this. You can do whatever you choose. And my mentor says you can have anything you want the moment you're willing to drop the belief that you can't have it. And that's, what is it? What's your math? What's the thing that you're like, oh man, I was really good at that, or I really liked it, but somebody said, or I believed, or wherever it came from. Like, I'm not pointing fingers at the teacher. I'm exposing the ridiculousness of the system that created the beliefs that the teacher adopted and then passed along. And then I subscribed, right? It's like we're zombies. We're just injecting each other with the same virus of the patriarchy. Okay, I had no idea we were going there. So let me reel on back. I do want to land on, now my daughters all believe that when they put in the effort and they practice, they can be superstar mathematicians. And all my girls love math. They love it because they started with a different belief system of, this is not only possible for you, it's available for you and it's for you, and you are a mathematician. And we will figure it out and we will do it together with leadership and love. Whew. Okay. So hopefully now you understand what the patriarchy is. It's not, we're not men hating. We love men. Men are great. So many amazing men. It's the system that puts them ahead of us, that enables them to generate more money, that enables them to hold positions of power. And guess who we tend to elevate? People like us, right? So men are elevating more men, unless they're awake. Okay, so let's go back to my notes, what I actually wanted to talk about today. So how is perfectionism showing up in your life? I'm going to ask you this. You probably know this, right? Like if you're a woman and you're awake, you know that perfectionism is showing up in your life, right? Maybe it looks like procrastination. Maybe it looks like never even trying. Or maybe it looks like you tried it, but you weren't good at it, so you quit. We tend to not try things unless we think we can be perfect out of the first time. And that is my 9-year-old right now. She's like, no, I'm not. She found in dance. The other thing is, like, she doesn't actually love dance. So maybe this is not the best example, but let me use it anyway. She went to an advanced dance class and everybody there was more skilled than her because they'd been there longer and had more practice. Okay. And she said, I don't like dance. I don't want to do it anymore. Because she got in there and she couldn't do it perfectly. And so her inclination was to quit. And of course we didn't let her, right? Like we went through the semester and we tried, and she did get better. Ultimately, she decided, like, I don't actually like dance. I'm not doing it. What a powerhouse move for her. Though we didn't let her quit because initially, because she couldn't get it perfect the first time, we let her try and make the decision based on what she loved. What she loved. She doesn't love dance. She loves riding horses. So we're going to do that. She loves chess. So we're going to do that. She loves Roblox. So we're going to do coding. And, but it's coming up to, we put her in a coding class and she did the same thing where it's like, I don't know how to do this. So I don't want to go back. And we're like, no, 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 no. We're going to keep going because we're not trying to get it perfect. We're not trying to get it right. We're just trying to get better today than we were yesterday. Perfectionism also, in my experience, means a lot of waiting. Like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to wait for the right time. I'm going to wait for the right time. I'm going to wait for the right time. Okay, so when is the right time? The time that's right is now. Always. It's always now. Because listen, my friend, now is all there ever is. There's no past. There's no future. There's only now. Can you live in your past? Nope. Can you live in your future? Nope. Even though your mind would love for you to do that, you can only live now. So the time that's right is now. It's right now. But what we do, and I'll share just a specific example, I have an incredible finance coach. and I'm calling her out. Genevieve Anderson changed my financial life. Her business is called Holistic Personal Finance. You can find her on Instagram. And I met with her years ago to get my finances right. But I thought I knew by then that I was supposed to be some sort of coach on something. And I said, Jen, how did you? I want to do my own coaching business, not finances, because I need you for that. I'm still learning and growing every day in every way in my finances. But I want to be a life coach for women. I want to help women remember who they are and create these big, beautiful, badass dreams. How do I do that, Jen? And she said, start and start now. Don't worry about anything else. Just start. Just put it out there. Just start. And I promise you, sister, I waited. I was like, yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to start when the time is right, when I've got a little more time, when I've got some money to invest. And then years went by. I'm putting my head on the computer just for a second. Years went by before the right time came. Why? Because I wanted it to be perfect. I didn't even know at the time what was stopping me. But it felt like fear of starting. What are people going to think about me? What if people judge me? What if people criticize me? Like now I'm like, I hope people judge me. I hope people criticize me because that means I'm on the radar. That means I'm in the arena. That means I'm in the game. But I waited for the right time. And finally, the right time came with a lot of suffering, right? Like a lot of people, this may not also be the best example, but people that need to get sober, I just happen to be in that arena a lot. People that need to get sober, they're like, I'm going to get sober tomorrow. I'm going to get sober on Monday. I'm going to get sober in January. When the truth is, like, if you are thinking about needing to get sober, let that be enough. There is no right time to get sober except for right now. Okay, the time to get sober is right now. And according to who's the teacher I pulled this from? I'll have to come back. Help me out in the audience if you know this. Dr. Michael Beckwith. You can't plan to do anything outside of the right now. You have to decide and do it right now. Okay. So I waited and waited and waited and waited. And then I kept, this job that, I love the people so much. And the money was really great, but it really made me feel dead inside because it was not my assignment. You understand what I mean by assignment? A spiritual teacher I just got connected with, she's an energy healer and a light worker. She said, it's an agreement that you make with God before you even get here. It's your agreement. I like the word assignment because I feel like I'm better under orders. Probably not, right? That's the whole gist of the topic. So I love this idea that I was out of agreement. I was out of the agreement that I made with the creator. The creator and I did not agree before I got here that I was going to go work for a corporate tech firm and design courses. I don't even know what I was doing, but it was like, yeah, this seems like a safe, secure, logical thing to do. And the money was great. Oh, listen, I love money. So I love having money so much. It's so much freedom and having money and plenty and overflow. And you can be generous and you can travel and you can have experiences. And we're really shooting to be minimalists at our house. We're failing a bit, but we're still striving. And because we don't come to the world, my mentor, Kathy Heller, says this, we don't come to the world wanting a pile of things, right? Like we don't want the pile of things. We want the feelings and the experiences. And so I love money. I love to have money because it allows us to have plenty of experiences and enable other people to have experiences that they may not have had before. Okay, I have totally lost my train of thought. So we're waiting for the right time. Oh, right. So the right time for me involved suffering because I was out of agreement. I was in a job that was out of agreement, out of assignment, out of alignment, and that causes suffering. If you are in a job, I'm about to do a whole workshop series and a coaching curriculum on this. If you're in a job that you don't love, you are out of agreement with what you and the creator decided before you got here. I'm going to say it again. If you are in a job that you don't love, and I mean love like you can't wait to get up in the morning and do your job, you are not on assignment. You're doing something else that was not assigned to you, that you didn't agree with. Your soul didn't agree to whatever it is that you're doing. And I challenge the notion that came from women in my life. And it's like, no, you got to do something that's like, you don't have to love your job. It's just something that you do to reach the ends. It's a means to the end. I'm like, no, it's not. It is the end because it's the way I'm investing my time. And time is a resource that I can't make more of. And so if I'm putting energy and time into work that I don't love, I have subscribed to the patriarchy and I'm asleep at the wheel. I'm not on assignment. The assignment feels terrifying when you say yes to it. The agreement, in my experience, when the time finally came, because I was done suffering and ending up in nervous breakdown, panic attacks on the floor, because not because my job was bad, that job's beautiful. I had the best boss I've ever had in that job. People that I just loved dearly and deeply, but it wasn't my assignment. And so I couldn't ever feel totally alive. And I even heard somebody at the top of that chain say, you don't have to have purpose in your work. You just have to show up and do your job. And I was like, I'm in the wrong place. I've signed up. I'm a no on this. I wouldn't go back to that job or one like it if they paid me $1 billion. Because even with $1 billion, I would still feel dead inside. Now, listen, I'm going for $1 billion. I love $1 billion. Sounds great as long as I am in assignment. Because I'm done being stuck in somebody else's box, and that's the box of perfectionism. Okay. So when does the right time start? It starts right now. And this is going to be my ask at the end of the podcast. I have a very important question to ask you at the end of the podcast. I want you to listen all the way through. This is what I see it do for women, right? This idea of perfectionism. We don't apply, again, for the job that we're actually overqualified for. And it might not look like that as a direct match, but if the job feels like joy, it makes you feel alive, then it's your assignment and it doesn't matter what the prequals are. What matters is your willingness to go for it. You can't be in charge of the outcome. The outcome is not your business. What is your business is going for it. Going for it. And I feel like that in the epicenter of my soul because I wasn't going for it. I was staying in the box with the golden handcuffs, with great health insurance and awesome benefits for retirement, but dying inside. And it was so confusing because I kept saying I should just be grateful for what I have, a lot of money and a great boss and a really reputable organization and helping kids and helping teachers and things that made me used to feel alive, right? Like I spent 20 years working in education because it felt like right. It felt right for me. But there's this new evolution, this new expansion, this new edition of me, thanks to my mastermind, who reminded me who she was, the girl in the women's studies program who showed up looking like Michelle Pfeiffer with black leather pants in a classroom with a room full of African American high school students that were like 1 minute younger than I was, teaching high school, believing she could do and be and go and create and do anything. Even the students, I remember then saying, Madam Hunter, I taught French. Madam Hunter, we can't even speak English. What makes you think you were going to speak French? And I said, you can do anything you make up your mind to. And today you're making up your mind to learn French. On y va. On y va, which means let's go. And by the end of their time with me, these lovely beings in the world who started off not believing that they could or seeing the importance of doing it were able to fluently speak French and could feel confident showing up at a French restaurant in France if they wanted to. Because our job is to wake up and become a beacon of light of what's possible, to notice what we subscribe to unsubscribe, and to write our own channel, to write our own narrative. So the other thing is, I've noticed it with the women that I'm coaching or mentoring, is we won't ask for the raise. We won't ask for the raise. This woman that I informally coached at my last job, she was bringing on another woman to the team. And I said, you need to ask for $80,000. I think the base salary was, I don't know, 65 or whatever. And she said, no, we're just going to ask for the base. And I'm like, no, you need to ask for more. Because guess what happens when you ask for more? You get it, or you don't, but at least you asked. And in my instance, I get it, because what I've learned, thanks, Mom. Man, so much gifts and good momming, good parenting, is that no just is just, it's just no is just a step to yes. No is just one step to yes. So when I was negotiating for this job, which I feel really good about, they told me the base salary, and I was like, how about this? And I asked for $20,000 or $30,000 more. They were like, that's a lot. I said, yeah, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. I'm going to bring this whole product to your team. It's going to be incredible. So we landed, it was even higher than I felt comfortable, but I did it anyway, because our job is not the outcome. Our job is going for it. So they came back with a number, and I was like, no, and I'm a no on that number. This number is, this is my last call number. And then I also want this and this and this and unlimited time off, which is a thing. These people gave me unlimited time off. And also the number that I said was my bottom line, which truthfully, in my little heart, I was like, this is a lot of money. And they gave it to me. Why did they do that? Because I asked, because I went for it, and because I didn't accept no the first time it was given to me. I kept asking. I kept asking. And that is what the universe did for me. It kept asking me to show up for the assignment. It kept asking me to go for what I would love. It kept asking me to show up for the agreement. And so I finally listened, right? There's so much beauty in persistence. And listen, if you're dealing with the creator of the universe, it is persistent because you made an agreement and you cannot get out of the agreement. If you're suffering, you're out of agreement. You're out. If you're unhappy, you're out of agreement. What is the agreement? Okay, how do we decide what the agreement is? Well, it's the answer to the question, what would you love? I'm going to say it again. The agreement that you made with Source, the creator, God, whatever spirit you're calling it, it's the answer to the question, what would you love? If you had a magic wand, and if you're on YouTube, you know I have a wand, and you could wave away every obstacle and every challenge, you had plenty of money, had everything you've ever wanted, what would you love? Where would you go? What kind of partner would you have? What kind of marriage would you be in? What kind of physical, mental, spiritual health would you have? What would your bank account look like? How many investment accounts would you have? What would your net worth be? What would you love for your time, your calendar, your relationships, your friendships, your coworkers? What kind of work would you do? What creative impact would you have on the world? What would you love? And the answer to that, my friend, is your assignment. It's the agreement that you made with the creator before you even got here. So stay tuned, because at the end of this, I'm going to give you this assignment, share with you how to do it. Let me just write that down so that I can make sure I remember to give it to you. Oh man, podcasting is so fun. Let me just put that down. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to progress, perfection, and the patriarchy. So here's what perfectionism is costing you, and it costed me the same, which is why I feel compelled, qualified to share with you. Costs you time that you could have been spending investing in your dream. It cost me years of doing work that I love because I was afraid. And the fear is perpetuated by the patriarchy of, you've got to be perfect. It's got to be just right. You got to have your highlights filled in. Like, you got to be at a certain weight. You got to, which no wonder there's pause and there's procrastination. Procrastination is evidence that you've subscribed to the patriarchy. Wake up. That's the call. Wake up. Just an awareness should be enough to get started. Okay, so the cost: delay, shows up like delay. I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it later. And here's the tricky part, right? Because we're brain-based beings. When we're in our bodies, we're brain-based beings. Now, spiritually, we're heart-based and stomach-based beings. But let's start with the mind. The mind, if you tell it, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it tomorrow, the brain is like, boop, here's some dopamine. Good job making a decision. You're going to do it tomorrow. But listen, if you've ever worked with somebody who really needs to get sober, you know that deciding to do it tomorrow is a death sentence for what you could do today. So the cost of perfectionism and the patriarchy is delay on your dreams, delay on your assignment. It also shows up like doubt. Can I really do this? Who am I to even do this? Who am I to have my own business? I'm not a businesswoman. Who am I to be a coach? Nobody's going to take me seriously. Right? And the doubt sounds like you. That narrative that's in your head that mostly we just run it on autopilot, the same noise that we played yesterday and the day before that keeps the same today. It's doubt or dissuasion. And the voice sounds like you, but it's not you. It's just the noise that you subscribe to. And when we wake up, and we wake up in meditation, and we wake up in prayer, and we wake up in presence, and we wake up when we're in the now, when we wake up, the noise stops and we remember who and whose we are. And it doesn't sound like, who are you to do this thing? It sounds like, who are you not to do this thing? Who are you not to write the book? Who are you not to coach, not to speak, not to ask for the raise? That's what the real voice is saying. Who are you not to do it? How dare you show up and not be on your assignment? That is not what you were created for. Unsubscribe from the patriarchy and take the action. Because what it really costs is everything. It costs you everything because you're not bringing your authentic self and you're not bringing the thing that you were meant to create into the world. You're waiting. You're waiting because of fear, because of perfectionism. And in that way, you can't show up as who you actually are. You can't tell the truth. You can't be of service. You can't be a lighthouse because you're stifled and suffocated by the patriarchy, which you're saying is perfectionism. I have this gorgeous client who says, oh, I'm a perfectionist, and I want you to use this power tool that I gave her, that my mentor gave me up until now. Up until now, I maybe have been a perfectionist. And now I'm going for progress. See how easy that was just to make the shift allowed? And the cool thing about retraining the mind and the heart is that although it maybe took this woman 40 years to create this belief that she's a perfectionist, she could change that belief in hours, in days, in weeks. It's not going to take her 40 years to remember who she is, because once you step into who you are and remember your agreement, your whole body resonates starting from your heart. And you can use this power tool up until now. The only thing that should come after the words I am is something like a perfect creation of the creator. Some of the one. I am some of the one, someone. I am a piece of the master. I am a masterpiece. Let me tell you something, sister. I'm coming for you. The only thing you are allowed to put after the I am is something gorgeous and amazing and involving limitless possibility. You are unlimited. You are unstoppable. You are everything that the creator is. Complete love, complete compassion, complete kindness, complete power, complete everything. You are literally an iteration of the creator, which means your possibility is limitless. So the only thing you are allowed to, and I don't like the word allowed, the only thing that you are invited to put after the words I am is something that is synonymous with love. That's it. Love, power, creation, amazing, majestic, magnetic, magical, but perfectionist is not allowed anymore. We're going to be done with that. Anything that is not a creation of the creator, a piece of the master, some of the one, is excused. And you can be the excuser. You don't have to have anybody's permission but your own. Be done with putting anything after the I am that isn't incredible, that isn't indicative that you are literally a creation of the creator of the universe. Stand up straighter. Remember who you are. Okay, so perfectionism means you can't serve, you can't show up in a real way or an authentic way. And when I say it costs you everything, I mean it. So I want to tell you a story. Maybe she's listening. I met this, and she's just a specific example of who I get to talk with on the daily. This woman is brilliant. She's beautiful. She's a strong mom. She's got a couple of kids, a thriving marriage, a job that's well paid, well respected. She's an engineer, right? Which is unique for her because unique because many engineers, if you don't know, are men. So I already knew she was a badass the moment I met her. I was like, I need to know you. But after about 10 minutes of conversation, I heard who she actually was. Because when I meet people for the first time, we don't talk about the weather or sports or social media. We talk about what would you love if you had everything you ever wanted, what would it look like? And I got to meet the young version of her, a little girl who in the supermarket picked up magazines of architecture and home creation, design. And what I learned was her assignment is actually not engineering at all. Engineering safe, it uses her mind, it uses her major in school, her many major, multiple degrees, like it is in line. Because listen, we subscribe early. We don't wait till we're 40 and then say, oh, I think I'll play it safe. Like, nope, that starts way earlier. About 9, let's say, 8 or 9. That's when Ava started to subscribe to things that I question with intensity. So she's an architect. That's her assignment, but she's afraid to show up for her assignment. So we had these gorgeous conversations about what is it that you would love and how beautiful would it be, and if you could just have, and you could just see her light up. She stood up straighter. She sat up. We were having lunch, and her face was brighter, and she just emanated this energy of, there she is. I even said that. I mean, I'm brave. There you are. Finally, you showed up to the table. The real you, will the real you please stand up? And so I offered her the opportunity to work together because that's my work, as I help you remember who you are and what you would love. And then we co-create it together so that we collapse time, and whatever you think is going to take you a decade actually takes you months when you say yes to your assignment. Remember who you are. And she was so excited about it, so excited about it. We're doing it, we're doing it, we're doing it. And at the last minute, she's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Now, the I can't do it often sounds like my husband has concerns, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the time, or whatever nonsensory that has gotten in the way. And that nonsensory is your limiting paradigms created by the patriarchy. Limiting paradigms showing up like fear based on what society has told you is the correct box for you to get in and stay there. And the box got her. The patriarchy got her for now, right? Like I'm a persistent woman. I'm not going to let her dream die without her hearing from me about it. So now you get a glimpse into what kind of work I do. I'm no longer a career coach. I'm a dream coach, and I help you remember who and whose you are so you can show up for the agreement you made, which is the answer to the question, what would you love? The cost of perfectionism is everything you've ever loved, everything you've ever wanted. And it's a weapon of the patriarchy designed to keep you small. Me too. Me too. So let's wake up. How do we get out? How do we expand out of this? Let's take a deep breath together. Using the breath is just an anchor into the now. And exhale. Letting go. It's letting go, letting go, being done with that. Remember, being done is a process. Let's breathe in again. We're about to make a transition into how do we wake up and get out of this? and release. Okay. How do I escape the subscription of perfectionism, AKA the patriarchy? The most powerful thing you can do, and I've said this passionately, is to wake up. And how do we do this? If you're watching on YouTube, I use a wand to represent our attention and being awake to what is. So we're going to notice what we're noticing. We're turning on the noticer, which is our magic wand. We're waking up. Let this be your alarm clock. We're waking up and we're noticing what we're noticing. I'm noticing that I'm saying no to something that I would love. I'm noticing that I'm making an excuse not to do the thing that I would love. I'm just noticing, right? Noticing is a very gentle, it's a very scientific approach. And oftentimes when I'm in coaching sessions, what I'll say is, I need you to take the judge's robe off and throw it out the window. And instead put on your scientist lab coat, because a judge brings things like judgment and blame and shame. Just think about my girl, Judge Judy. I am never going on Judge Judy because I'm not available for that kind of shame and blame. I also live right now. Okay. So no judge. I don't need to be in front of a judge. So, but we take off our judges' robes because listen, sister, the person who judges you the most looks you in the mirror every day. It's not anybody else. It's not out there. The judge isn't out there. The judge is in here. And you, when you're awake, can say, the judge showed up. I'm going to ask her to leave. I'm going to ask her to step over there. I don't need her right now. Thank you, judge. Step to the side. To the left, to the left. Yes, got it in. Always got to get a Beyonce reference. Okay, so we're asking our judge to go to the left, to the left. We're replacing her with the scientist lab coat. I love this about science because, women are underrepresented in science as well. Let us be curious. That's what scientists are. They're curious. I don't know that I've ever met a judgy scientist. Have you? Anyway, we're going with curiosity. We're noticing what we're noticing. We're approaching it with curiosity, not with shame. And we're going to come back to this question over and over again. If you haven't written it down, this is the time. Write it down. What would I love? We notice what we're noticing and we come back to the question, what would I love? Now, notice the question is not, what do you think is possible? Go for that. Notice the question is not, what do you want? Because the energy of wanting just creates this sense of lack, like you don't have it. I want that, which tells my soul that I don't have it, which makes me feel bad. And that's negative energy. So the question that you're going to ask is, what would I love? And the answer to that question is your assignment. What would I love? What would I love? What would I love? And that's in every area. And when I do one-on-one and small group work, we go through every single area and we get clear on the answer to the question, what would you love? But I'm just going to ask you, dear listener, gorgeous goddess, what would you love in your relationship, in your love life, your bedroom, your health, your body, your mind, your spirit, your career, and the way you're making impact in the world? What would you love for your freedom, your financial freedom, your time freedom, your personal freedom? What would you love? The answer to that is your assignment, your agreement. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do to get out of perfectionism, besides number one, notice what we're noticing. We're the witness now. We're the wise woman witness. We're not the thinker. We're not the mind. The mind, as my mentor says, is boring and only has one job. It's to keep us safe and small and to repeat the past into the future so that we never feel afraid, which is why we stay small. Okay. Then we go to the question. So I notice that I'm mad. I ask the judge to the left. I bring in the science. I'm curious about what I'm saying yes to and saying no to and the actions that I'm curious. And then I come back to this powerhouse question. This is suggestion number 2. What would you love? I answer that. I get that in the cells of my body. I'm so happy and grateful now. So I get into the energy of having it now. And then I'm borrowing this directly from my mentor. And I want to say before I say it out loud, this did not resonate with me at first because I like A's. I like A's. I was that girl in school that was like, I got to get an A. or it's nothing. It's A or bust. And then they introduced this 5.0 GPA for AP classes. So you could get extra GPA points if you took those classes. So I was for it. Sign me up for every single one. Oh, except for the calculus one. Anyway, you see where I'm going, right? I like achievement. I did. I'm a recovering achiever. I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so here we go from my mentor directly, Kathy Heller. The first time I found her, I fell madly in love with her. But she said something that I did not initially resonate with. And the first program I am so grateful that I said yes to with her was a multi-$1,000 program, even though I just met her. I knew from the energy, I didn't have to ask questions. All I knew was that she was offering a Create Your Podcast course, and I loved her energy. But this is what she said that I was willing to overlook because it didn't make sense to me. She said, "We're going to do this podcasting. You're going to create your podcast with C plus energy, strong C, not even C plus, strong C energy. C is in the letter grade that you get." I'm like, C plus, C, strong C energy. I'm not a C student, I'm an A student. But then I remembered as I listened that trying to be perfect stops me from doing it at all. How many years do you think podcasting has been on my vision list? Many, several, more than one. And I never did it because I wanted it to be perfect before I even started. I wanted all the lights to be green before I ever backed the car out of the driveway, so I never left the house. Do you relate? So when Kathy said, we're going to approach this with C student energy, strong C work. Now I say that to my clients. Many of them hate it like I did. It was because, you had friends in school, or maybe you were this person who just like went for the C and they're like, C's passing, it's great. I don't have to work too hard. I'm never stressed out. I'm not overstudying. I'm not overburdened. I don't care about the accolades. Those are from the patriarchy anyway. Those people were the most relaxed, joyful people in the whole school. They just did not care about subscribing to that noise. They're like, this doesn't matter to me. You know what matters to me? Having a good time, being a good friend, having a blast. I missed all that. I missed having a blast in pursuit of perfection, in pursuit of the A, in pursuit of the 5.0 GPA, in pursuit of the how high can I rank at the graduation. Do you know how many people from high school I even talked to? But I thought if I could just get in the top 10, then I'd be okay. If I could just get that GPA, then I'll be okay. Which is why the mentorship is so important. Mentorship is so important. Having a coach is so important because that woman took one look at us and said, I know who you are. I know you're a perfectionist. I know you're a type A, but in this course, we're going for strong C energy because strong C students aren't afraid to mess it up. They're not going for gold. They're going for done. Done is better than perfect. My perfect podcast would have never gotten made, but here you are in the strong C energy of the Girls Who Recover podcast, which is a thing. It exists because I went after it with C energy, and I didn't even know what that meant. I had to be taught. What does it mean to be a C student? It means you stopped caring about things that are not important. What's important? That you get the podcast out. What's important? That you tell the truth. What's important? That you're authentic. What's important? That's it, really. Tell your story, set each other free. Be a light. Say what you came to say. Be on assignment. The rest of it, not important. I tried to let the thing stop me. I was like, I don't know how to create podcast art. I don't know how to create an intro and an outro and music. And finally, I was like, I'm not worried about music. I'm not worried about it being perfect. I'm just going to let it be done. It's going to be done. Do you know how I did that? This is one of my biggest suggestions. This is my last one, but I'm going to bring it in now. I did it in a community of other women who were doing it with me with strong C energy, in a community of women. So I want to bring that to the forefront of the next suggestion is we don't do it alone. We're not designed to do life alone. We're not designed to go for our dreams alone. Do you think an Olympian went for her dreams alone? No, she didn't. She had probably a family that supported her. definitely a coach or a team of coaches that coached her, friends that loved the heck out of her, and then a crowd of country people who cheered her on. An Olympia didn't do anything by herself. You think Oprah does things by herself? No, she doesn't. She probably meditates by herself, but even then, Gail's probably with her. Okay. Women who are successful do not do things by themselves. They do not succeed alone. Stop trying to do it alone. Bring in your tribe. If you don't have a tribe, join one. There are plenty. I've got a community of miracle tribe right now for fun and for free on Facebook. Jump in it now. Introduce yourself. Tell them that who you are and why you're here, to do it with strong C energy, to connect to a tribe of women who are also going for their dreams with strong C energy. And then together, we support each other so that you can take a step, just take one step. And when we take the step, we're going to let it be messy. If you have kids, you know what I mean. They do not care about doing it organized. I'm so proud of this story. I'm going to tell you. My mom was like, hey, remember when I had to go into the kindergarten class because you wouldn't draw in the lines? And they like were concerned about your ability to follow directions because you weren't drawing in the lines. I was like, me? I did that. I didn't follow in the lines. And my mom was like, yeah, you did it. And I loved it. I loved it. And on the way out, I was like, baby, don't worry about the lines. That's an illusion anyway. I mean, I don't know that she said that, but that's what I tell my girls. Lines are an illusion. Let it be messy. Let it be imperfect. Let it be uncomfortable, but let it be. Take a step. Do the thing. Do the hard thing or start with the easy thing, but do something. And then we're going to do it imperfectly. Are we going to fall on our face? Yes, we are. My very first offer, nobody signed up for. I was so excited about it. And I was like, yes, I'm doing a group offer. And even my coach was like, I don't think that's going to work. I'm like, it's definitely going to work. And it didn't work. And I felt like I had bruises on my face because it fell on the floor, figuratively. And it didn't work. And my coach was like, okay, it didn't work. Next. Let's do something next. Let's get up. And the first time that happened, it took me like 2 weeks to even show up for the work again. And the next time it took me less time. And the next time it took me less time. And the next time, so I got used to failing, right? Because failing does not mean I'm a failure. It just means I'm good at failing, which gets me closer to success. So what is the thing that you need to do? And what's the first step you can take? And can you let it just be messy? Can you let it be uncomfortable? Can you let it be, I just can't use the word messy enough. My 4-year-old is not concerned about where her art lands on the scale of perfection. She's so unconcerned that there's art all over my house, not on the paper, on the walls, on the doors. She just lets it go. And I'm like, I should be mad about this, especially since we just bought this house. But you know what? I kind of love it. It means my life is rich and full of a 4-year-old that has dreams and is unafraid to be messy. She's made a really big impact on the hearts of people who love her and on our house. Okay, so you're taking a step and then you take another step and you don't do it by yourself. You're doing it in a community of women who got your back, who have your back, who are saying, I believe in you when you cannot believe for yourself. That is climbing out of the patriarchy. It's unsubscribing. When women get together, powerhouse things happen. We call them miracles. It's really just us remembering who we are and doing it together. So you take your step and then you celebrate it. I have in my notes, you celebrate the F out of that. And this is important to have your tribe around you because something happened. I can't even remember what the step was. I don't even remember. I think I put something on my calendar and agreed to show up for it. I didn't even actually show up for it at the time. I just put it on the calendar. And a woman in my mastermind or mistress mind said, you need to celebrate that. You just put it on the calendar. And I was so resistant to putting things on my calendar because I just like to be in flow and decide what I want to do at the time, which by the way, like does not get a lot done. She said, celebrate it. Let's do a dance. Let's drink a nice coffee with oat milk. Oh, my favorite. Let's celebrate it. And so the point here is with your tribe, we're going to celebrate every single step you take. This happens in one of my current small groups. my gals show up and they'll say, well, I didn't do all the things. I didn't do all the things. And I'm like, great. Well, did you do anything? And they said, oh, yeah, we did this, this, and this. And I was like, let's celebrate that. The assignment is not to do all the things, it's to do something and to do it imperfectly. That's the assignment. The universe will meet you way more than halfway if you show up for the assignment and take one step and then celebrate it. Because what we praise will expand. What we celebrate, we will repeat. We're retraining our mind. We're retraining our nervous system for what is safe. And what is safe now is to take the step in spite of the discomfort, in the face of fear. Because let me tell you something about fear. We think perfectionism is based on fear, and like maybe it is. Maybe. Where's the fear come from? The subscription to the patriarchy. So we're going to unsubscribe. I want you to know something about fear. Fear is good news. She's like your best friend. You want her around. She's motivating. She's reminding you of how capable and strong you are. When you say, listen, fear, I can have you without you having me. And I'm going to take you and you're going in the passenger seat or you're going in the back seat. I'm putting you in the friend zone. We're not sleeping together anymore. You're going to the friend zone, fear. You can stick around, but you're not in charge. So we take the step even in the middle of being afraid, because fear isn't going anywhere if you're growing. If you're not afraid, you ain't growing. Be done with that. Do the thing, fall on your face, get people around you who are going to help you celebrate any move you make. Okay, the next thing is, how do we get out of perfectionism? We take the action because we love it. I thought about I just started this podcast and we were just going straight into the fire. I thought, well, maybe we should just do like an intro, a softer version of creating a vision of a life you love. I mean, I love that workshop. I'll send it to you for free. But that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for this podcast because I want to do what I love. And I love unsubscribing from the patriarchy and showing you how to do it too. So you can step into who you were here to be, who you are here to be. So whatever you do, we're going to do it because you love it, which is why it's important to start with the question, what would you love so you know? I'm not asking you what your mom loves. I'm not asking you what your boss loves. I'm not asking you what your pastor loves. What would you love? And that's going to be the foundation. First of all, it's the assignment from God, source, whatever you're using. Doesn't matter. It doesn't care the name. I like God. Just feels handsome and sexy and reliable. We're going to do the thing we're going to do because we love it, not because somebody else is going to like it. That's what I said about, I have a coach and musician. She's gorgeous. I just did a podcast with a comedian, also brilliant. And they're thinking about writing music and jokes based on what the audience would love, but that's not it. We're not living for what other people would love. We're living for what you would love. And that is your assignment from the creator. I cannot say that enough. So ask yourself the question, what would I love? And then create that. Would you love a podcast about the patriarchy? Go do it. Would you love to write a song that's featured at Jazz Fest like my client? Then do it. Write the song. Not because the audience will love it. They're going to love you because you love it. Or they're not going to love you. And guess what? That's okay. Let them love whatever they're going to love. Let them. Mel Robbins, the let them theory. Let them. If you're in assignment, you're going to have people who don't like it because your soul is bright and projecting and out loud, and theirs is not. It's still asleep, so they will judge you. And it will be okay because maybe you remind them what's possible for them in their own anger and their own criticism and their own judge. I'm not here for other people. I'm here for my assignment from the creator of the universe. If you love it, awesome. If you don't love it, also awesome. Go find something that you love because you deserve a life you love, down to the podcast that you listen to, down to the mentorship that you have. Do it because you love it. Woo. So you're doing the action, you're doing the dream that you love, not because you're worried about what other people think. Because I want you to hear this. What other people think and believe has nothing to do with you. It's 100% a result of this channel they've subscribed to, their own paradigm, their own perspective, their own drama, their own trauma, their own history, their own experience. And the truth is, they may love it, what you do. They may not love it. But the real question I'm going to ask you again is, do you love it? If you do, then that's the assignment. Go for it and have a blast doing it. We should be having a blast all the time. That's what life is about. If we're not having a blast, we're not doing it right. We're not doing it correctly, my type A. If we're not rolling out and having a blast, laughing out loud every single day, turning on music that you love every single day, loving on your body, loving on each other. If we're not doing that, we're out of alignment, we're out of assignment, we're not in agreement with what we came here to do. Do you love it? And are you having a blast? That is your purpose. That is the way out of perfectionism. You decide what you would love and you do it with strong C energy and mess it up and mess it up again. Do you know Oprah was fired because some man told her she wasn't fit for TV? Come on. Serena Williams, last time I checked, she'd lost more championships than she'd won. Do you think that stops her? Beyonce failed all day long on business ventures, I mean, you just look it up. I love researching everybody and how they failed. People love to use Michael Jordan, but let's talk about women. The most successful women, the ones who are living in their assignment, who are loving what they're doing, have failed a billion times. I'm being exaggerating, but a lot. They're professional failures, not failures. They're massive successes. You know who these people are, right? You've heard of Serena and Oprah and Beyonce. You know them. It's because they failed that they are successful. It's because they showed up for the assignment in spite of the critics, in spite of what the patriarchy said to them. They said, I'm not listening to that. I'm listening to my dreams and I'm doing that. Beyonce writes music that she loves. She's not concerned about what other people think, and the right people love it. And the people who don't love her are not my people. And they're not her people, and that's okay. You don't even have to be mad about it. We just let people love what they love. Okay. The way out of perfectionism, we approach life like a little kid. And if you aren't around little kids, you need to be. You need to be. And I'm just laughing about this. I want to tell you a quick story about me. So I think I talked about this in my OG episode, but I thought I was going to be a lawyer because lawyers have power, they can change the world and make a bunch of money and prestigious, and finally I'd be okay. And I bombed the LSAT, never bothered to take it again. I just told myself I would do it later. So I ended up in a classroom. I ended up, I think I did talk about this, applying for Teach for America. And I lived in the sorority house because I was the president. Because I thought if I was the president, then I'd finally be okay. But turns out I still had the issues that I had before, even as the president. And my sorority sisters said, Dana, what are you doing? You don't even like kids. And listen, they were right. I did not like kids at all. I swore I would never have kids. I was like, ooh, kids are disgusting. I don't even like to be around them. Keep these kids away. So thanks, bless you, Teach for America. You gave me basically grown-ups to teach, which I was very grateful for. Pretty sure you took one look at me and be like, oh no, you cannot be around the 5-year-olds. You cuss way too much. So, but what I've learned now that I have these small children, I just want to be around these baby children all the time. I go on all the field trips with my pre-K and my second grader, my fourth grader, because they aren't afraid to dream. They're not afraid to mess it up. They're not worried about each other right now. They're just worried about having a blast and making a big old mess. And then they clean it up together. That's what they're worried about. So we approach our way out of perfectionism and into progress. I don't think I've emphasized this enough. Where are we going if we were not perfectionist? We're progress. We're making progress. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the miracles happen, in the progress. So we approach it with this energy of kids, this kid energy, and we surround ourselves with other women who are doing it together and not worried about being perfect, or maybe they are worried about being perfect. And then the other woman can say, stop it. Stop that. Record the episode, publish it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. If they like it, they like it. Don't worry about them. Do you love it? Then do it. Maybe not the best advice for drugs, okay? Don't do drugs. Drugs are no good. They definitely are not your assignment. Stop it with that. Anyway, we're approaching our way into progress with the energy of a kid or a strong C student in school. We're surrounding ourselves with women who are going to remind you who you are when you forget, because we forget. That's why we need the tribe, is because we forget. We fall asleep again, we resubscribe, and we have to keep unsubscribing and keeping reminded over and over and over again. And this last part is something that I have to out myself on and tell you I am still super novice at, but I'm going to be brave and say it anyway. The way into progress and out of perfectionism is radical self-compassion, self-care, and self-love. And that makes me uncomfortable even just saying it out loud, but that just means it's true. And I have room to grow here. How do I get into progress? To say yes to my assignment and out of the patriarchy, out of perfectionism, radical self-compassion, self-care, and self-love. I want to look up what the word radical means here. Yeah. A person who advocates total reform. So we're advocating a total reform on the way we approach ourselves, on the compassion that we're showing for ourselves. I am sure that you are easily able to find compassion for many people in your life. That's the nature of being a human, right? Because the creator is compassionate and the creator created creations that are compassionate. But where we get stifled and stuck and blocked is our ability to radically have compassion and grace and love and care for ourselves. For ourselves. How do we do that? That's another episode. But just know there's a lovely book that my friend and coach, also coach friend, is, oh man, Madly in Love with Me is the name of the book. I'll put it in the show notes. Madly in Love with Me. And when she suggested I read that in her coaching curriculum, I was like, oh, I opened the book and I was like, oh no, no way, this is terrible. Love me? Do an exercise around loving, take a bubble bath and tell myself how much that makes me want to vomit. But that means that's a cue for me that I have room to grow here. And so if I am going for perfect, I am not expressing self-love, self-care, or self-compassion. I'm expressing the narrative of the patriarchy, which says, stay small. Stay small. Do not go on social media unless you're perfect, unless your makeup's done, unless you're saying the right things. Don't you dare use profanity. Make sure you have it all. Make it look easy. Make sure it looks flawless to be the mom and the room parent and the owner of the business and the wife and a recovery and a church, and blah, 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 right? Be sure you look good doing it. Meanwhile, we're all having nervous breakdowns. Just me? Okay. I know it's not just me. I know it's not. All right, let's go back to where we were. Let's go back. So radical self-compassion and self-love. Okay, so here very quickly are some benefits of what you can expect when you go for progress over perfection. Are we ready? Here they are. They're coming quickly. Number one, you are going to increase your self-confidence. Because when we're not worried about being perfect, we can focus on getting better. We can focus on what we're strong at, where we need to grow, and celebrate the progress along the way. I love the way that our school does parent progress, parent conferences. So I got to go in person to 3 different teachers, and all the teachers they said the same thing. Hey, your daughter, they said it to them. I made them talk to them because I think conferences should really be between teachers and students, and parents should just be there to celebrate and be curious about how we can support and show up for our kids. Different episode, but this is what they said to my daughter. You are so strong in this, and this. Way to go. Thanks for being a leader. We can tell you're passionate. In this area, there's room to grow. What can we do to grow together in this area, and how can we help you? And at the end, we celebrated progress. I took them all out to a very fancy pancake lunch. So because we're not worried about being perfect, I don't need them to get all A's. We're unsubscribing from the patriarchy. The grading system is based on the patriarchy. So we're going to be done with that. They know I'm not concerned with the letter grades, although there's this old part of me that still wants to stay alive that says, get on the honor roll. It's important. Why? Why is it important? Why is that stuff that I spent so much time investing in actually important? Did it make me happier? I mean, I like pancakes, but let me tell you, I'm taking my kids to get pancakes, even if they get straight Fs. They won't because they're brilliant and they know how to invest effort. They know all this stuff I'm teaching us. So they won't get Fs. But even if they did, we're still getting pancakes. Why are we celebrating? Because we showed up and tried. And we're taking this feedback to do better. So we're increasing our confidence. What happens when we stop being perfectionists and move into progress? We get more done. We get more done because done is better than perfect. We don't get stuck in the paralysis, the analysis paralysis of, well, what about this? What about this? What would they think? Like, no, we're just going to do it. Just do it. Nike, do it. Just do it. Oh my goodness. I want to tell you a quick story here. I love this story. It comes from my mentor, but it's a true story. Sorry, I don't have the exact name and facts in school, but there's a very renowned economics professor at a prestigious university, and he only teaches the specialized class. He goes to the board and says, I really want to teach this class for advanced senior students on economics. And so they open up this small class of 30. And he said, we're going to be learning advanced theory of economics, which I don't know, that sounds terrible to me, but people were excited about it because they loved him and they liked economics. So they showed up to the class. And the first day of class, he said, ha ha, you thought you were coming to learn the theory of economics, but I'm giving you a special assignment and it's going to last the whole semester. And here it is. We're splitting the class into two. So this half, team A and team B. And your job has to do with making pottery, making pots or a pot. Team A, we're going to give you every resource available. You can have free passes to every museum. We're going to hook you up with skilled potters. We're going to give you the most exclusive high-end pottery studio. We're going to give you all the research, all the money, anything that you need. And your only job is to make the most incredible pot you can, just one. They're like, great, we have everything we've ever needed. We're going to make the perfect pot, just one. Team B said, you're getting nothing. You're going to get some free passes to the public museum, and you're going to get the subpar pottery studio, and that's it. That's all you're getting. Your job is to create as many pots as you can. As many as you can. And both teams have the whole semester to fulfill their assignment. So off they go. They check in periodically to, learn things about pottery and discuss famous potters and the history and the materials. And so at the end of the semester, the professor comes together and he says, I'm here to decide who has the best pot. Who has the best pot, the most perfect pot? And so he invites group A, and group A talked about all the things they learned and all the museums and the conversations, the interviews and all the things. And they presented this pot, their one pot that they made, one. And the professor was like, well done, you fulfilled your assignment, sit down. Then he brings up the second group and they said, well, we didn't really have much to work with, but we were in the studio a lot and we made a bunch of pots. And we brought these pots that we think are, probably the best of the many pots that we made. So, my friend, who do you think had the best pot of the two groups? Give you just a breath to think about it. Which team, team A, with all the resources, one pot assignment, or team B with no resources, with the ability to make a bunch of pots? Who had the better pot? Most people say A, right? Because they had everything at their disposal. They had privilege and finances, and they just had to make this perfect pot. But the answer is actually team B. And here's why. It is so lovely to learn about things. It's lovely to have access to resources and money and people that have done it in museums and everything you've ever wanted. But if you only make one pot, it's probably not going to be your best pot. How do you make a good pot? You mess a bunch of pots up. It's the same with pancakes. Has anybody ever made pancakes? Your first pancake is not good. It's not. I made pancakes this morning. The first group was burnt. They're like, they just weren't right. But by the third round, I nailed it. The pancakes were Martha Stewart level pancakes. And I made them from scratch, which I feel really good about, only because we left the Hungry Jack box open. And so there were things in the Hungry Jack box that I don't want to share on the podcast, but that box went immediately in the trash. And your girl made homemade from scratch pancakes. So there you go. The point is, we have got to try over and over and over and make a bunch of pots that are terrible to get to the best pot. And this is what I'm doing with this podcast. I'm not editing it. I'm just publishing it exactly as it is. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is the next one going to be better? You bet it is. And in 3 years, we're both going to be laughing at this episode about how whatever it was. But I started, didn't I? And you're going to start too. So benefits of progress are you have more confidence, you're going to be more productive, you're going to feel better because you're going to be done beating yourself up for trying to be perfect. You can just be done with that. And that might be the best benefit. You don't have to be stressed out about it being perfect. You don't have to have anxiety about what other people think. You don't have to feel inadequate. So your mental health just, woo, it's like a light's coming out of your head. You're more creative because you're not afraid to fail. You got stronger relationships because you're done expecting other people to be perfect. One of my best friends said something so brave and hard to me one time. I gave her a hard time about something. And she said, it's really hard to be friends with you because you're expecting me to be a perfect friend and I just can't be, I can't. And that blew me away. One, that she would be so brave. I'm so grateful for that. So brave. And then also courageous enough to say, your expectations of me are so unrealistic. It's really hard to be your friend. And ever since then, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for you in whatever way you're available. That's it. And I really have. It's like totally cracked open the doors of our relationship. So thanks, intimacy, friendship, and a tribe of women that are going to tell each other the truth about who we are. Okay. You're also going to make better decisions because you're not going to care as much as you used to about being perfect. You also are going to be free to be the scientist and you can stop being the judge. Thank you very much, because you're not going to need external validation. You're not going to be so subscribed to what other people think. You're going to be coming from the position of, this is curious. This might work. And what do I love? I want to do that. I only get to live this round of life once. I want to do what I love. I don't want to do anything else that I don't love. I'm done with that. It's the beautiful part about being 40. If you're awake in your 40s, you're just like, I don't care about that. I'm not doing it. My daughter's finally, I don't care about dance. I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay. You don't like it? We tried. You gave it your best. You don't like it. Stop doing it. You make better decisions. You're going to have more time and energy and joy because you're so much more free. You're not obsessing. You can focus on what really matters, which is your strong C energy, being messy like a kid, showing up for your assignment. You get more resilient because you're not afraid to fall down. You have experience falling down over and over and over and over until you get up, and now you know how to walk. I love the analogy of being a kid. Kids aren't worried about falling. I mean, my kids did not come out the womb learning how to walk. And they did not give up the first time they fell down. They were excited about learning how to walk. They wanted that cookie. They wanted to get the cat. They wanted to get the dog. They wanted the hug that was across the room. They wanted the toy. They wanted the dead bug in the corner. I remember that one, like, oh, that was very motivating. And they got up and they fell in the grass and on the carpet and they cried and they got back up and tried again. They did not stay down and cry. Crying's good. Listen, I love crying. If you feel like you need to cry, get it out so you're not suffocating your soul with suppressed emotions. That's a whole different episode. We're going to cry about it. Yes, cry about it. There's good dopamine and serotonin and some tears, and then get back up and keep going. Just like my daughters kept going, and now they know how to walk. They know how to run. They know how to dance. Because when they fall down, they still do, they get back up after a good hard cry. Okay. And this last one is you remember who you are. You're going to have joy. You're going to feel alive. You're going to feel vibrant, because when we're on assignment, which is just to be the best version that we can in the moment, progress over perfection. We're in the middle of progress. We feel totally alive because we're not hooked in. We're not hooked into other people's opinions. We're not hooked into the judge's narrative. We're hooked into what would I love, and let's go do that and have a blast. So your life is literally a blast. Okay, I think we've gone on way longer than I planned to. So I want to close with this. This is your assignment. You're going to have work, life work. We don't call it homework because that's lame. We're going to go strong C energy with some life work. And in my miracle membership, which you should definitely consider, if you love this, you're going to love the miracle membership. We call it miracle work, because when we remember who we are, we have the ability to create miracles on repeat because we're on assignment. We remember who we are. Okay. So the first question, your first life work assignment, is to get your journal open. Don't use your notes. Don't use your phone. Don't use your computer. That has all sorts of weird tech energy. Go back to basics. Get a journal that you love. Get a colored pen that you love, or a pencil, and write the answer to the question, what would I love? And just keep writing until you can't write anymore. Go through all the pockets of your life. And I want you to do this next thing with energy. I want you to claim it like you have it now. And it starts with, I'm so happy and grateful now. So happy and grateful now that I'm free. I'm wealthy. My marriage is thriving. I have plenty of time to do what I love. I have presence with my kids. I have whatever. I'm experiencing these feelings. You're going to get clear on what you would love. What I would love is not going to be what you would love, because we have different assignments. If you're still listening by this, point of the podcast, you and I are probably in the same resonance, right? So take this work seriously, because what happened when I started to answer the question with fervor, with energy, unapologetically answering the question, what would you love? The world opened up for me, and I remembered who I was, whose I was, and what I came here to do. I don't know all the steps from A to Z, but I do know that I'm on assignment because I feel joyful and alive and excited about showing up for my work. And that is available for you too. And it starts with the question, what would I love? What would I love? Okay. So today's episode was all about, we're overcoming perfection. We're not even overcoming, right? We're just unsubscribing. It can be as simple as that. Unsubscribing from the patriarchy. I'm awake now. I'm not worried about being perfect, even though when it comes back, just know it's going to come back, right? Because it's taken me 40 years to learn this stuff. And so it's going to take me a little time to unlearn it. So just like I'm training my puppy, or just like I'm helping my daughter not eat crayons, one gentle reminder at a time, we gently bring ourselves back to, what would I love? And what you would love is your assignment. And we approach it with gentle compassion. We approach it in community with other women who are going to call us up and call us forward and remind us when we forget for ourselves. And then we're going to take a step. So what is the thing? What is the part of the assignment? You know what I'm talking about. You probably don't even have to write it down. Do write it down, because more will be revealed there. What is the thing that you have been putting off until the right time? What is the thing that has been calling to you, like the voice calls to Elsa in Frozen 2? What is it that you've been pausing on, that you've been delaying on, that you've been talking yourself out of? What is that thing? Get clear it, and then take a step and let it be messy. And that's your real assignment, because you can get clear all day long, but until we take a step, until we get in action, the universe is still waiting on us to get serious about what we agreed to before we got here. And we show God, the universe, the source, the spirit, that we're serious when we take a step. You don't have to know all the steps. Don't worry if all the lights are going to be green. They're probably not going to be. You're probably going to have yellow lights and red lights and broken lights and stop signs and wavy roads and road construction. That's all there. You don't need to know that before you pull out of the driveway. Take a step. And I want to hear from you about what your step was. Okay. So 2 life works. Number 1, what would I love? Number 2, take a step. Let it be messy, let it be uncomfortable, let it be hard. Maybe the step is you're going to find a woman to link arms with and be like, I'm going to support you. Will you support me? Let's go. LFG. Let's go. Okay, my friend. I want to hear from you. We're just getting started, so I'm available. My email address, which I hope you will use, is girls.who.recover@gmail.com. And I am open to offering you feedback on what you would love. I'm open to receiving the action step that you are deciding as a result of this episode to take in service of your dreams, in service of your assignment, your agreement. I'm available for that. Let me be a partner in believing for you. In the meantime, I love you. I'm so proud of you. And I believe in your ability to create a gorgeous, strong C energy life, one action at a time, which will ultimately get you a life you absolutely love. Mwah.